before the shops had raised their signs, before the bicycles went by. Someone had already dreamed of waking without asking why. A name could belong to its owner, a sentence could finish out loud, footsteps could choose their direction without disappearing in crowds. Maybe the things we barely notice were once impossible to hold, a key turning freely in a doorway, a story finally being told. So I'll keep this morning carefully, not like a monument of stone, but in the way I cross the city, knowing every step's my own. No thunder needs to announce it, no grand parade has to begin. Some victories become so quiet, we simply wake and live within. A child runs ahead of her father, chasing something down the lane. Someone writes a line in a notebook, then crosses it and writes again. A radio plays from a corner, two strangers disagree and laugh. All these unremarkable moments carry fingerprints from the past. I wasn't there to see that morning, I cannot claim to know its weight, but I can choose not to forget what had to happen for this day.
Today asks nothing from the sky,
just that we know why it is ours.
There were names written softly where nobody else could see, folded into books and pockets, carried underneath the sleeve. Some were spoken after midnight, some survived from mouth to mouth. Tiny syllables kept moving even when they were shut out. And the breeze remembers what the walls could never keep. Every word once pushed beneath us found another way to breathe. I hear strangers call each other across a crowded market square. Nobody lowers their voice now, nobody checks who's standing there. Perhaps that's how a name survives, not carved in gold or framed above, but called across an open distance by someone waiting there with love. May the breeze remember those who carried words this far, so the names we give tomorrow never need to hide again. the clouds have somewhere else they need to be. So all that's left above the roofs is endless blue to see. A boy's drawing airplanes on the back of yesterday. His mother calls him home for lunch. He asked for 5 more minutes. Play. Look up, nothing blocks the blue. Look up, it's there for me and you. Not because it was promised, not because it came for free. Someone once imagined this much room for us to be. The laundromat keeps turning, a taxi misses green. A college student reads a page beside a vending machine. No one calls it history, that's why it moves me so. The safest days are often days we hardly seem to know. Look up, let the quiet tell the truth. We inherited in open blue. Now what we do beneath it is ours to choose. Take the path beyond the corner, change direction halfway there. Wear the color that you wanna, say exactly what you care. Choose the book nobody mentioned, leave a question unresolved. Every choice can look so little when you're free enough to make it. Nobody owns the horizon, nobody marks where I should be. There's more than one way forward, more than one way to be free. And I know this open distance didn't simply come along. Someone wanted us to choose before our choices could belong. So choose and let another choose beside you. Change your plan on Sunday morning, take the longer route instead. Write an answer, cross it out, find a better one ahead. Freedom isn't only movement, it is room enough to differ. You don't have to walk beside me for your path to still be valid. Nobody owns the horizon, every future has more doors. May I never guard for myself, or was never mine alone. Let the open distance widen for the people after me. That's the kind of freedom I would like to live.
Salt dry slowly near an island, persimmons gather farther in. One town stretches every ending, another clips the final sound. Apartment towers near a river, fields continuing past the hills. Different ways of setting dinner, different names for similar things. feelings. No single picture holds it, no single story ever could. A place becomes more interesting when we don't make it simple. Made of many places, many ways of feeling home. Different flavors, different phrases, different rhythms in the tone. Belonging doesn't ask us to become a single sound. Maybe what connects us is the room for difference found. An early boat leaves from an island. A student studies near the coast. A farmer watches changing weather. Office floors grow quietly. Each person sees a different country from the place they happen to stand. Put those separate views together, something wider fills the frame. We don't need the same affection or the same reasons to remain. Home can hold 1,000 meanings without anyone being erased. Let the picture keep expanding. Let another story in. Anything made out of people should have space to keep becoming. Made of many places, never fitting one design. That's the reason it can hold us without asking us to rhyme. Different lives can share a country without needing to agree. A home becomes much stronger when there's room enough to be. The latch falls back beneath my thumb. Cool air slips across the floor. I leave a note beside the mirror, then step beyond the open door. No destination in my pocket, no appointment pulling me. I might spend an hour wandering, I might come back before 3. There's no reason worth explaining, no approval left to find. I can follow curiosity or simply change my mind. What looks almost weightless now wasn't always ours to hold. Some of life's most precious things arrive without a trace of gold. So I go with nowhere I must be. Let the afternoon unfold without deciding it for me. Nothing calling from behind, nothing drawing out the lines. Just the gentle privilege of choosing what is mine. I find a path beside the water. Reeds are bending near the bank. Dragonflies keep changing places. Over stones the current shape. I take my shoes off near the edge. Let my feet rest on the ground. There's a freedom in not rushing when no order calls me back. I could keep this hour entirely. I could share it when I'm home. Even thoughts belong more fully when they're free to come and go. Maybe it doesn't need a stage. Maybe sometimes it is simply having ownership of your day. Choosing when to keep on moving, choosing when you've had enough, and leaving room for someone else to find a different kind of path. So I go with nowhere I must be. Let the afternoon unfold without deciding it for me. What feels effortless today came from hopes I never knew. I'll remember what was given by the way I use it too. The latch falls back again. I came home when I wanted to. My grandmother keeps an old expression that never sounds the same translated. She says it when the fruit is sweetest, or when the soup needs one more minute. There are meanings tucked in vowels, little jokes between the sounds, ways of saying have you eaten that mean much more when passed around. A language isn't only letters printed neatly on a page. It carries how a people laughed and how they called each other home. Let every syllable keep moving from the elder to the young. Let an old expression mingle with the phrases yet to come. What survived through guarded seasons doesn't need to whisper now. We can speak it without thinking. What a beautiful thing somehow. Children bend familiar grammar, make new slang their parents miss. Poets stretch a stubborn meaning until something new exists. Different regions shape the endings, different rhythms color speech. Still a thread runs underneath them, farther than a map can reach. Little sayings, keep the sounds that don't translate. Keep the stories in their texture, don't smooth every edge away. And let younger tongues reshape them, that's not losing what we knew. Anything allowed to live will find another way to bloom. Let every syllable keep moving, let it travel without fear. What was carefully protected can be freely spoken here. Old and new can sit together, neither asking which should leave. Every word we pass along adds another ring beneath. August comes with ripened peaches, cicadas hidden in the trees. Sleeves roll loosely past the elbows, cool fruit waiting after meals. When you're young, a month is simple, days away from books and bells. Then you learn that certain numbers carry stories they don't tell. One square printed on a calendar can hold more than summer plans. A date becomes a place where memory quietly reaches for your hand.
August keeps the date,
Even as the years move on,
joy and gratitude can gather.
where remembrance still belongs.
I don't know that first day's feeling.
I won't claim that I can only hold this present, knowing it was once a wish. facts can rest inside a textbook until someone makes them real. Think of waiting without knowing when the waiting finally ends. Think of hearing something changing and not trusting it at first. Think of all the held back feelings finding somewhere to emerge. I inherited the ending, they were standing in between. What I read as finished history was their unfinished scene. So I won't borrow their emotion or pretend that it is mine. I can honor what preceded me by giving it attention.
August keeps the date,
Not to hold us in the past,
only so the life we're shaping.
knows the road that brought us here.
Let the 15th carry meaning.
Then let every day move through. Memory can face ahead and influence what we do. You can read the same sentence and stop at another line. You can leave with one conclusion, I can leave with one that's mine. We can sit across from each other without turning different sharp. No one has to lose their place for another thought to start. There is room for more than one answer, room enough for neither one to disappear, leaving a space between us for both our thoughts to stand. Not a wall, not a distance, just a little open span. I don't need it when you're thinking, you don't need to borrow mine. Maybe living side by side means leaving room on either side. It's easy to defend the right when the right belongs to you. Harder when the other person uses it in ways you wouldn't choose. Still, that's when the meaning matters. That's when principle becomes real. Respect is more than being pleasant when agreement isn't there. Listen past the first reaction, let the silence do some work. Not every conversation needs a winner at the end. Leaving a space between us, let another answer land. We don't have to sound alike to build something we understand. Different minds can share a future without narrowing the frame. There is strength in making room without making us the same. Fabric resting between two palms opens wider with a shake. Black lines settle into balance, red and blue begin to sway. Fast and high before the morning, it moves whenever currents pass. No announcement underneath it, no need for anyone to stop below. The kettle finishes, a drawer refuses to shut. Shoelaces come undone again, breakfast waits a little longer. Perhaps the deepest symbols don't need everything made still. They can hover over daily life and quietly mean something. Four corners in the air, moving gently overhead, holding years we didn't witness without asking us to live there. Underneath, the day keeps going, full of things too small to name. Maybe that's the finest reason those colors matter still today. An elevator reaches 7, a package waits beside the lift. Someone searches for an earring they were certain wasn't lost. A candle starts another round. A drawer finally gives in. All the plain details continue while the fabric moves above. Let it never turn to scenery, seen so often we forget. Learn the weight behind the colors, then let living answer it. Four corners in the air, moving softly overhead. Not a command to stop the present, but a reason to respect everything that happens under it. Unremarkable and free, the colors move, the day continues. That's enough for me.
A recipe remembered without measuring a thing. A nickname from a cousin nobody outside would understand. A tune learned before bedtime, a pattern stitched along an edge. The way sesame filled the kitchen before anybody came downstairs. Books remembered declarations, years and borders, names and change. Families often keep the smaller things, no archive things to say. Keep that one, don't let it disappear. The little things can tell us who was actually here. Keep that one, pass it gently on. A history made of people needs the details to belong. A phrase from an old neighbor, a story told with half the facts. A certain bowl used every holiday, though nobody knows who bought it. These fragments rarely make a record, still they travel through our lives. Culture isn't only something we preserve behind a sign. It can live inside a flavor or the way a greeting sounds. Something almost insignificant can hold generations down. I wonder what I'll leave behind that nobody thinks to say. Maybe how I season noodles, maybe games we used to play. Perhaps inheritance is sometimes anything affection keeps. Keep that one, the ordinary piece. Not everything worth carrying needs to become history. Keep that one, let another person know a people lives in countless details, too small for books to show. suppose you could send a message far beyond the years you know. No envelope to carry it, no fixed place for it to go. Would you write about the hardship or the things you hope would change? Would you tell the people after you to make the ending less the same? Some wishes travel strangely long after hands let go. Send it without an address. Let the years decide the way. A thought can cross a lifetime and arrive another day. Maybe we are living answers to a note we never read. Maybe hope survives by reaching people it will never meet. If I could send an answer backward, I would keep the language plain. Some things turned out much easier, some things still need work and change. We learned, forgot, remembered, built, repaired, and tried again. Nothing came out perfect, but the story carried on. So I'll add a line for people I will never get to know. Take whatever helped us forward, then improve it as you go. Don't preserve a finished picture, leave some space to make it known. Send it without an address. No reply is needed back. What matters is the meaning. Finds another life to catch. Maybe every generation writes a sentence in between, then releases it unfinished for another age to read.
Yeah. Wake a little later. Move the plan if you can. Pick the thing you never order. Take the longer way around. Spend too much inside a bookstore. Try a record you don't know. Call a friend you haven't seen and ask if they have somewhere to go. No instructions, no correct way through the day. A little room for accidents can take you somewhere great. No instructions, let the hours rearrange. A life becomes your own and all the harmless things you change. Drop a class and feel embarrassed. Learn enough to make mistakes. Cut your hair and hate it briefly, then decide it looks okay. Take a hobby far too seriously, quit another after May. Having options sometimes means getting everything completely wrong. Not every turn needs purpose. Not every hour needs a goal. Being able to explore has value on its own. No instructions, let the afternoon surprise. The right to make a harmless mess is part of being alive. No instructions, nothing waiting to approve. Sometimes being free is simply having room enough to move. Why does salt vanish in water? Why do grown-ups change their minds? Why do maps keep getting redrawn? Who decided all the signs? Why are there so many languages? How does music make us cry? Can a seed remember springtime? Where does yesterday reside? One arrives before the other. They don't wait to take a turn. 100 little questions from a mind that's built to learn. Keep asking, even when the answer takes a while. Keep wondering, even when the grown-ups only smile. Make curiosity remain something nobody takes away. There were people who imagined children learning in this way. One day questions become harder. Fairness, history, right and wrong. They'll discover every answer doesn't fit inside a song. Teach the dates, but teach the reasons. Teach them how to look again. Teach them knowledge isn't finished just because a chapter ends. I hope they never learn to make a question disappear. Let uncertainty be welcome. Let discovery stay near. Keep asking. Let the answer change with what you know. A future full of questions still has somewhere left to grow. Keep asking. Even when the truth takes time, the courage to keep wondering can carry farther than a line. An old foundation underneath the building finished last year. Neighborhood names may change while familiar hills remain. Nothing living keeps one shape for every season it survives. The past doesn't need repeating to remain inside our lives. New leaves, old ground, both can matter at the same time. Keep what teaches, change what harms us. Add another branch in time. Inheritance isn't copying every mark that came before. Sometimes honoring a journey means going farther than it could. Every age receives unfinished work along with what went well. Questions previous generations didn't have the chance to settle. We can mend a weakened structure, open passages once closed. Carry wisdom without turning it into somewhere we can't grow. Let remembrance be a root, not a rope around the feet. Let it steady what we're building without deciding what it must be. New leaves, old ground, neither has to disappear. What we inherited can guide us without keeping us back here. Let the branches stretch much farther, let them find a different view. Old ground feel support, something beautifully new.
Memory can become a museum, nothing touched behind the glass. Or it can become a compass made from lessons of the past. One protects what came before us, one can help us travel wiser. Maybe both are worth preserving if we know what each is for. Remember, then do something with it. Learn, then let the learning move. The point is not to live back there. The point is what we do. Read the difficult accounts, leave the uncomfortable parts in. People are never only heroes. History is rarely clean, knowing that does not diminish those who stood when standing mattered. Truth can honor more completely than a polished story can. Take the lesson, not the hatred. Take the courage, not the wound. Take enough to recognize what should never happen twice. Knowledge kept without direction can become another shelf. Let remembrance change behavior, or it only serves itself. Remember, then do something with it. Carry knowing into use. Memory earns its place ahead by changing what we do.
Pick the clothes you feel like wearing. Leave a book unfinished halfway. Learn a skill for no good reason. Spend an hour on a game. Say you don't agree politely. Change an answer after thinking. Keep a piece of writing private without needing to explain. Nothing here sounds monumental. That's precisely what I mean. So ordinary, we forget how remarkable ordinary gets. A life with room for preference, a mind allowed to reconsider. A harmless no, a curious yes, a plan revised without permission. So ordinary we forget. Study something unexpected, try another field someday. Listen to a style you disliked, then discover you were wrong. and keep an interest all to yourself, or share it with whoever cares. There are parts of being human that don't need a larger aim. Once in a while, remember the value, not to make a day feel heavy. Only so familiar privileges never turn invisible. So ordinary, we forget how extraordinary ordinary gets. May the things we barely notice remain available to all. So ordinary, so familiar, and still worth protecting after all. Days become easy to memorize, numbers lined along a page, but a number never tells you what a person felt that day. Were they hungry? Were they nervous? Did they make somebody laugh? Did they keep a note from family folded carefully in a bag? History grows thin when people vanish from the facts. Give the dates their faces, give the names their human scale. Let them worry, let them stumble, let them hope that things go well. Don't remember only outcomes, remember nobody could know, while they stood inside the moment, which direction it would go. We already know the ending, that's the privilege of looking back. They had mornings without answers and decisions without maps. Courage isn't knowing surely that everything will turn out right. Sometimes courage is continuing with no proof beyond the night. One day we'll become a chapter people summarize too fast. I hope they leave our edges in and let us remain complicated. Let them know we doubted, let them know we changed. Let them see the human middle between the headline and the date. Give the days their faces, don't let distance make them small. Before they entered history, they were human after all. Couldn't see these towers or the screens inside our palms. Couldn't know the songs we listened to or how our language changed. They didn't know our occupations, where we'd study, where we'd travel. They could only hope for years they might never get to sample. And somehow we are standing inside days they couldn't picture. What will we add to what they started? What will travel on from here? Not a debt that keeps us looking back, a responsibility made clear. Make the next version a little kinder, make the narrow places wide. If we inherited possibility, leave more on the other side. Maybe people years from now will find our habits strange, wonder why we took so long to fix the things we could have changed. I hope they see we kept on learning, didn't call the work complete. Used the gifts that reached our lifetime to make theirs a little easier. No generation owns the ending, every age receives a draft. Add your notes, repair the weak parts, then send the pages past. What will we add to what they started? Something useful, I would hope. Enough courage to improve it, enough humility to grow. Let whoever comes behind us find a little more than we. A commemorative day arrives and eventually becomes midnight. The banners come down, schedules resume, breakfast needs making again. Maybe that's where meaning starts, not only during remembrance, but in what happens when the calendar moves ahead. After the 15th, there is still more left to do. Keep learning, keep improving, leave a wider path than you receive. Let gratitude become behavior, let remembrance become care. The best way to respect the past may be the future that we prepare. No country reaches completion, no generation gets the final word. Every era finds new questions, earlier years had never heard. We inherit what was given, good and difficult together, then decide what deserves keeping and what ought to become better. Farther past the date printed in red, past one particular season, into how we treat a stranger, how we listen when it's hard, how we leave another person enough room to play their part. After the 15th, let the meaning carry through into September, into winter, into years we haven't reached. Not as sorrow, not as performance, as attention, as responsibility, as the wish to leave this place a little better than we found it. Is still being written.